Welcome to the lesson on the combustive properties of hydrogen as a fuel. In this lesson, we will discuss how hydrogen's physical, chemical, and combustion properties affect its behavior, performance, and safety when utilized as an energy source. Let us look at our lesson objectives. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to identify the physical and chemical properties of hydrogen. Next, you will be able to explain how hydrogen behaves when it burns as a fuel. Then, you will be able to describe the combustive properties that affect engine performance. Finally, you will be able to explain how the combustive properties influence engine safety and design. Let's look at what hydrogen is. Hydrogen is the simplest element in the universe. At normal temperatures, it exists as a gas. It has no color, smell, or taste, which makes it difficult to detect without sensors. Hydrogen is also very flammable, which makes it useful as a fuel. Hydrogen can be used as a fuel in internal combustion engines, just like gasoline or diesel. Instead of burning traditional fuels, the engine burns hydrogen to release energy that moves the vehicle. The way hydrogen behaves is very important because its properties affect how well the engine performs and how safe it is to operate. Some properties make hydrogen easy to ignite and efficient to burn, while others create challenges that engineers must manage. By understanding these properties, engineers can design engines and fuel systems that use hydrogen safely, efficiently, and reliably. So, what are the physical properties of hydrogen? Hydrogen is extremely light and rises quickly when released into the air. It is not poisonous, but large leaks can push oxygen out of the air and make breathing difficult. Because hydrogen molecules are very small, the gas can leak through tiny openings, which makes storage challenging. So, what are the chemical properties of hydrogen? Hydrogen reacts very easily with oxygen. When hydrogen burns, it combines with oxygen to form water. This reaction releases a large amount of energy, which can power engines. Over time, hydrogen can also weaken certain metals, so special materials must be used in hydrogen systems. Combustion is the process of burning a fuel using oxygen from the air. Combustive properties describe how easily a fuel ignites, how fast it burns, and how it behaves during a fire. These properties are very important when designing engines. The properties that make it useful as a fuel include a wide range of flammability, low ignition energy, a small quenching distance, high auto-ignition temperature, high flame speed at stoichiometric ratios, high diffusivity, and a very low density. We will look at each of the properties in detail as we proceed through this lesson. Let's look at the first combustive property that makes hydrogen useful as a fuel, which is a wide flammability range. Hydrogen can burn in many different air-fuel mixtures. This allows engines to run with less fuel and more air, which improves fuel efficiency and reduces harmful emissions. However, if the mixture has too little fuel, the engine will produce less power. Now, let's look at the second combustive property that makes hydrogen useful as a fuel, which is low ignition energy. Hydrogen ignites very easily. Even a tiny spark can start combustion. This helps engines start quickly and run efficiently. However, this also means hot engine parts can accidentally ignite hydrogen, which engineers must prevent. Let's look at the third combustive property that makes hydrogen useful as a fuel, which is a small quenching distance. Hydrogen flames can burn very close to engine walls without going out. Because the flame is harder to stop, hydrogen engines have a higher risk of backfire. Engineers must design engines carefully to reduce this risk. We will now look at the fourth combustive property that makes hydrogen useful as a fuel, which is high auto-ignition temperature. Auto-ignition means a fuel ignites without a spark. Hydrogen needs high temperatures to ignite by itself. This allows engines to use higher compression, which improves efficiency. Let's look at the fifth combustive property that makes hydrogen useful as a fuel, which is high flame speed mixed with the right amount of air. Hydrogen burns much faster than gasoline. Fast burning helps engines produce power more efficiently. However, if there is too little fuel in the mixture, the flame burns more slowly. Now, let's look at the sixth combustive property that makes hydrogen useful as a fuel, which is high diffusivity. Hydrogen spreads very quickly when released. This helps it mix evenly with air inside an engine. If a leak occurs outdoors, hydrogen usually rises and spreads quickly, which can reduce fire risk. Let's look at the summary for the lesson. Combustive properties of hydrogen as a fuel. Hydrogen is a very light and flammable fuel that releases a large amount of energy when it burns. Its combustive properties make it efficient but also create engineering challenges. Engineers must design hydrogen engines carefully to keep them safe and effective. Thank you.